Celeste is one of the most iconic games ever made, with beautiful graphics, amazing gameplay mechanics, and an overall great storyline. However, the game is quite old now, so how does it compare to modern games? And is it still worth buying? Let's find out. But in case you have never seen the game before, Celeste is a platformer that takes place in a fictional world, where you play the main character, Madeline, and you must reach the summit of Mount Celeste. However, this is not easy, as the mountain will represent more than just a physical challenge. It'll also symbolize your own internal struggle with anxiety, self-doubt, and other personal demons. The ultimate goal is therefore to help Madeline overcome these obstacles, both physical but also mental, as you climb the mountain. What you'll also notice is that the world of Celeste is vibrant and full of life, with each area of the mountain offering very unique atmosphere and set of challenges, anywhere from icy caves to ancient ruins. The game's pixel art style also brings these environments to life in a way that is both nostalgic but also visually striking. But when it comes to the main gameplay, it is all about navigating challenging platforming levels as you help Madeline climb the mountain. This game will require precision and timing, as you must jump, dash, and climb your way to the top through a series of increasingly difficult levels, each level filled with obstacles like spikes, pits, and moving platforms. Your goal is therefore to reach the next checkpoint or room of every level. One of the key gameplay mechanics is the dash ability. So when you first start out, you can dash once in any direction while in the air, which is very essential for clearing large gaps and avoiding obstacles. But as you progress throughout the game, this mechanic will evolve and new elements are introduced. This could be double dashing or using environmental objects like springs or bubbles to extend your movement. These additions make the gameplay way more complex and provide you with a ton of new strategies that you must master. Another important mechanic is the climbing system, which allows you to hold onto walls and climb them for a limited time. This mechanic is therefore crucial for navigating the levels, as it lets you position yourself carefully before a jump or a dash to a new platform. However, since you can only hold and climb for a few seconds, you have to be very precise about when and where you climb, as your stamina will run out quickly. And as you can imagine, the game's replayability is therefore one of the standout features. As combined with these amazing gameplay mechanics, every level also contains hidden collectibles, which can be insanely difficult to get if you want to collect them all, as they will often be placed in hard to reach areas, which will require even more advanced platforming skills to collect. So the gameplay mechanics are all designed to be both challenging but also rewarding, with very tight controls and timing, and a constant stream of new mechanics to learn. And that brings me to my next point, the game's progression system. And it is very closely tied to the mechanics but also the unfolding story. So in the early game, you will be introduced to the more basic controls and abilities. This could be jumping, dashing, and climbing. These are the foundational mechanics and are quite simple, which allows you to get comfortable with the movement and the timing required to navigate the obstacles. However, as you progress up the mountain, the game will gradually introduce more complex challenges but also additional mechanics. This could be platforms that move, wind, and other environmental hazards, which makes the gameplay way more chaotic. Another massive part of the game is the game's storyline. So as you climb up the mountain, you'll encounter many types of characters, and you can tell that the narrative is woven into the gameplay, where every chapter will represent a different part of Madeline and her journey both physically and emotionally. It is honestly an amazing storyline with story-driven progression that add a ton of depth to the overall platforming challenges. So as you can tell by the overall progression system from early to end game, the difficulty and the complexity of the levels will increase significantly, where the final levels will require full mastery of all the mechanics with very tight timing and precise movement, which makes the game really satisfying and rewarding. I want to dive way deeper into some of the most unique and interesting features of the game. And the first feature has to be how it combines the challenging platforming mechanics, but also with a really emotional storyline. So unlike most other platformers that focus solely on gameplay, Celeste will really use its narrative to enhance your overall experience, where at the end, you care just as much of the storyline than the gameplay, which truly sets the game apart from any other game in the genre. Another great feature is the assist mode, allowing you to tailor the difficulty to your own preference. This means you can adjust the game's speed, give yourself infinite stamina, or even enable invincibility. So by including these options, the game is way more accessible to all gamers, and it's really good in case you get stuck and just want to finish the overall storyline. And the last amazing feature is the really precision-focused gameplay. The game has insanely tight and responsive controls, where every movement in the game is deliberate, and where the levels are also designed to be challenging in terms of timing and reflexes, but without ever feeling unfair. This precision is therefore crucial, as you can fully engage with the game's difficult platform sections, giving you an overall great sense of accomplishment. Now let's talk about the game's difficulty. And as you can imagine, just like any other platformer, it is quite difficult. The levels are truly designed to test your reflexes, your timing, and patience. But it's actually not too bad when you first start out, as the initial levels are quite slow, but of course then ramps up the difficulty later on. However, one of the most defining aspects of the game is the reliance on trial and error gameplay. As you progress throughout this game, game, you will fail many times, as you must master precise timing and techniques to pass certain sections. And this is even true for the more hardcore player, and not just the new gamer. But while the game can be incredibly difficult and challenging, it is also super rewarding. And especially with the assist mode, where you can customize your own difficulty level, it is really satisfying. So whether you're a more casual player, just looking to enjoy the storyline, or a more hardcore player, seeking a true test of your skills, this game will be great for all. Now, let's talk about the game's graphics, the sound and atmosphere. And as you can tell by the gameplay, it has a really good pixel art style that is both simple but also beautiful. The vibrant colors and detailed environments really bring every part of the mountain to life, creating a visually striking experience that also complements the gameplay, where it is beautiful to look at, but where you can also clearly make out the details to see all the mechanics and traps. Another standout feature is the game's music. It is quite emotionally driven and will match the tone of the gameplay perfectly, where every track is actually designed to evoke specific feelings. This could be tension of a difficult platforming section to an even more emotional moment of the story. Furthermore, the sound effects are also a crucial role, where every jump, dash and landing feels quite satisfying but also responsive. So all of these elements together create an atmosphere that is truly immersive, where the combination of the pixel art style, the music and the beautiful sound effects really pull you into the game world, and it really helps convey the overall emotional storyline. Now with that being said, the game is not perfect, and there are several pros and cons that we must cover. The first pro has to be the engaging story. It is honestly so heartfelt and emotional, and I think will resonate with a lot of people, which makes the game and journey feel meaningful just beyond the gameplay. The next pro is the overall gameplay. This game will truly challenge you, where the platforming mechanics are incredibly difficult, but also rewarding once you learn them, as the controls are also insanely responsive, really allowing for more precise movement. Additionally, you add the assist mode and makes the game way more inclusive, where you can customize the overall difficulty to your liking in case you get stuck on a certain point and still want to progress the game and storyline. And the final pro is the beautiful art style and music. This pixel art style is so appealing, and then on top of it you add the soundtrack that is both memorable but also fitting to the gameplay, truly enhancing the overall atmosphere and immersion of the game. And now for the cons. The first con has to be the steep learning curve, and while the game does have basic tutorials and gradually increase in difficulty, you do hit certain areas where the difficulty just ramps up exponentially. And while the difficulty is overall a massive plus, it can also be a great obstacle for those lesser experienced with platformers, or if you prefer more relaxed gameplay. And the other con is the limited replayability. So while there are optional harder levels, once you've done the main storyline and challenges, there is not a lot of incentive to replay the game unless you're aiming for 100% completion. But with all that said, let's grade the game. And Celeste gets an amazing 9 out of 10, and for several reasons. First is the exceptional combination of challenging gameplay, the engaging story, and beautiful graphics. The game truly excels in delivering a platforming game that is both rewarding but also meaningful, where the tight controls and well-designed levels make every moment of the gameplay feel satisfying, even when the difficulty ramps up. Then on top of it, you add the emotional depth of the overall story that make you feel super invested in the game compared to most other platformers. Additionally, the game's accessibility option, like the assist mode, is honestly amazing, where you can still progress the game and story in case you get stuck. However, the game is not perfect. The game's overall steep learning curve and reliance on trial and error will definitely not appeal to every player, as it can be insanely frustrating at times, as the game requires precise timing and execution. But that being said, if you're looking for a truly challenging platformer, but also a game with a beautiful, strong narrative, Celeste is a must-play game for you, as the game blends precise gameplay, emotional storytelling, and beautiful visuals that makes for a truly unique and memorable experience. And if you're still watching the video by now, this game is absolutely worth your time and money. For more amazing games, click here.